The world watches as geopolitical tectonic plates shift. Russia's actions in Ukraine have sent shockwaves across the globe. Europe grapples with anxieties about security and stability. India sees potential opportunities amidst the tumult. This divergence underscores the complexities of the current geopolitical landscape. It highlights distinct priorities shaping foreign policy choices. Europe's anxieties stem from a history scarred by conflict. Memories of two world wars and the Cold War loom large. Russia's actions have awakened old fears. The conflict in Ukraine is not just a regional issue, it challenges the rules-based international order. India views the situation through its own strategic interests. India refrains from outright condemnation. This stems from historical ties and strategic autonomy. India sees an opportunity in the evolving global order. This essay delves into contrasting perspectives of Europe and India. It examines anxieties and aspirations shaping their foreign policy choices. Europe's concerns, India's cautious approach, and potential opportunities will be analyzed. The essay explores Western perspectives on India's foreign policy and potential cooperation amidst turbulent times. The specter of war has returned to Europe. Russia's actions in Ukraine have shattered decades of relative peace and stability. The continent is now grappling with the most significant security crisis since the end of the Cold War. The invasion has revived old fears of Russian aggression and expansionism. It has also exposed the vulnerabilities of European security architecture. The immediate concern for Europe is the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Ukraine. Millions have been displaced, and the death toll continues to rise. The conflict has also triggered a massive refugee crisis, with millions fleeing to neighboring countries, putting a strain on resources and social systems. The economic fallout of the war, including soaring energy prices and supply chain disruptions, is being felt across Europe. Beyond the immediate impact, Europe is grappling with long-term security concerns. The invasion has shattered the illusion of a post-Cold War peace dividend. It has forced European nations to confront the reality of a resurgent and assertive Russia, willing to use military force to achieve its objectives. This has led to a reassessment of defense spending and military preparedness across the continent. The crisis has also exposed the limitations of European strategic autonomy. The European Union, despite its economic might, has struggled to forge a unified and effective response to the crisis. The reliance on the United States for security guarantees has been brought into sharp focus. The conflict has underscored the need for a more robust and independent European defense capability. While Europe grapples with immediate security concerns, India views the Ukraine crisis through a different lens. India's perspective is shaped by its own geopolitical realities, historical experiences, and strategic aspirations. It sees the conflict as a symptom of a larger global power shift, one that presents both challenges and opportunities. India has chosen a path of strategic autonomy, carefully calibrating its response to the crisis. While expressing concern over the humanitarian situation and calling for a peaceful resolution, India has refrained from condemning Russia's actions. This approach has drawn criticism from some quarters, but it reflects India's long-standing policy of non-alignment and its desire to maintain strategic independence. India's position is rooted in several factors. Historically, India has enjoyed close ties with Russia, dating back to the Cold War era. Russia remains a crucial defense partner, supplying India with a significant portion of its military hardware. India is also wary of aligning too closely with the West, particularly in the context of its own complex relationship with China. From India's perspective, the Ukraine crisis presents an opportunity to enhance its strategic leverage. As the West imposes sanctions on Russia, Moscow is increasingly looking towards India and other Asian partners to mitigate the impact. This opens up opportunities for India to secure favorable deals on energy imports, defense equipment, and other strategic goods. While the world focuses on the conflict in Ukraine, India's gaze is also fixed on another looming challenge, a rising and assertive China. The dragon in the room casts a long shadow over India's strategic calculations. The escalating tensions along the disputed Himalayan border serve as a stark reminder of the security threat posed by its powerful neighbor. China's rapid economic and military modernization has shifted the balance of power in Asia. Beijing's increasingly assertive posture in the South China Sea and its growing influence in the Indian Ocean region are seen as a direct challenge to India's strategic interests. The unresolved border dispute, punctuated by periodic military standoffs, remains a major flashpoint. India views the evolving geopolitical landscape with a mix of apprehension and pragmatism. It recognizes the need to counterbalance China's growing influence while avoiding direct confrontation. This has led to a strengthening of strategic partnerships with like-minded countries, including the United States, Japan, and Australia. The Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or Quad, a strategic forum comprising the US, Japan, Australia, and India, is seen as a key pillar of India's Indo-Pacific strategy. The Quad aims to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific region, countering China's growing assertiveness. However, India remains cautious about being drawn into a direct confrontation with China, preferring to engage in strategic hedging. Section 5. A House Divided, Germany's Balancing Act Between Principles and Pragmatism. Within Europe, Germany's response to the Ukraine crisis has been particularly noteworthy. As Europe's economic powerhouse and a nation with a history deeply intertwined with Russia, Germany has found itself walking a tightrope between upholding its principles and safeguarding its interests. The initial response was marked by hesitation. Germany's dependence on Russian energy, particularly natural gas, made it reluctant to take drastic measures that could harm its own economy. The legacy of World War II and a strong pacifist streak within German society also made it wary of being seen as escalating the conflict. However, the brutality of the invasion and the mounting pressure from its allies forced Germany to reassess its position. Chancellor Olaf Scholz announced a historic shift in German foreign policy, pledging to increase defense spending and provide lethal aid to Ukraine. This marked a significant departure from Germany's traditionally cautious approach to military intervention. Germany's balancing act reflects the complex web of economic, historical, and strategic considerations shaping its response. It also highlights the internal divisions within German society over its role in the world. The crisis has forced Germany to confront difficult questions about its past, its present, and its future role in a changing world order. Section 6. The West Watches. Scrutiny of India's foreign policy choices. India's nuanced stance on the Ukraine crisis has not gone unnoticed in Western capitals. The refusal to condemn Russia's actions and the continued purchase of Russian oil and military hardware have drawn criticism. This raises questions about India's commitment to the rules-based international order. The West views India as a crucial partner in the Indo-Pacific region. However, India's close ties with Russia have created friction points. This has led to calls for greater alignment between India and the West. India's foreign policy choices are scrutinized in the context of its defense ties with Russia. The purchase of the S-400 missile defense system from Russia, despite U.S. sanctions, is contentious. The West is concerned such deals could undermine efforts to isolate Russia. Despite differences, there's growing recognition of India's strategic autonomy. India's non-alignment policy and desire to chart its own course are increasingly understood. The focus is shifting towards finding common ground and building a pragmatic partnership. Section 7. A new dawn for the Indo-Pacific strategic opportunities for India. The evolving geopolitical landscape, while presenting challenges, also offers India strategic opportunities. The crisis in Ukraine has highlighted the importance of a free and open Indo-Pacific region, a concept championed by India and its partners. It has also underscored the need for a more robust security architecture in the region to counter China's growing assertiveness. India is well positioned to play a pivotal role in this emerging security order. Its geographic location, growing economic and military might, and democratic credentials make it a natural partner for countries seeking to maintain stability and counterbalance China's influence. The Quad, with its focus on maritime security, infrastructure development, and technology cooperation, provides a platform for India to enhance its strategic leverage. The crisis has also created opportunities for India to deepen its engagement with Southeast Asian nations. These countries, wary of China's growing influence, are increasingly looking towards India as a reliable partner. India's Act East policy, which aims to strengthen economic and strategic ties with Southeast Asia, has gained renewed momentum in recent years. Furthermore, the crisis has highlighted the importance of energy security. India, a major energy importer, is seeking to diversify its sources of energy and reduce its dependence on volatile regions like the Middle East. This presents an opportunity for India to forge new energy partnerships with countries like the United States and Australia, which have abundant reserves of natural gas and other resources. Section 8. The Diplomatic Tightrope, Balancing Relations with the West and China. Navigating the complex geopolitical landscape requires India to walk a diplomatic tightrope. On the one hand, India seeks to deepen its strategic partnership with the West, particularly the United States, to counterbalance China's growing influence. On the other hand, India cannot afford to alienate Russia, a long-standing partner and a crucial supplier of military hardware. This balancing act is becoming increasingly challenging as the rivalry between the United States and China intensifies. India finds itself caught in the crosshairs of this great power competition, facing pressure to choose sides. However, India is determined to maintain its strategic autonomy and pursue its own national interests. India's approach is based on a pragmatic assessment of its options. It recognizes that aligning too closely with one side risks jeopardizing its relations with the other. Instead, India seeks to engage with both the West and China, leveraging its position to secure favorable outcomes. This strategy requires deft diplomacy and a careful calibration of its positions on key issues. The success of India's balancing act will depend on several factors, including the trajectory of US-China relations, the evolution of the security situation in the Indo-Pacific region, and India's own domestic political dynamics. It is a delicate balancing act, one that requires constant vigilance and a willingness to adapt to changing circumstances.